among history's most remarkable figures, Charles Darwin, was born on February 12, 1809, in the town of Shrewsbury, which is in the county of Shropshire, in the west of England. His father, Robert Waring Darwin, was a physician known for his large size. Robert was over 6 feet tall and weighed 24 stone. Charles once recalled that his father was the largest man he had ever seen. Robert assumed that Charles would follow him into the medical profession. Charles' mother, Susanna Darwin, passed away suddenly when he was just 8 years old, likely due to a stomach ulcer or cancer. Darwin remembered little about her except her deathbed, her black velvet gown, and her work table. Charles' grandfather, Erasmus Darwin, was a well-known scientist. In his poem, The Loves of the Plants, written in 1789, Erasmus suggested the idea of evolution. He also made several futuristic inventions, such as designs for a rocket engine and a copying machine. Erasmus was also a prominent writer and a member of the Lunar Society of Birmingham, a group that brought together scientists, industrialists, and poets. However, Charles' relationship with his grandfather's work was distant. Robert, Charles' father, did not share Erasmus's scientific ideas and preferred Charles to pursue medicine. Charles had one brother, Erasmus, and several sisters. His older sister, Caroline, gave Charles his first lessons. Later, Charles was taught by Reverend G. Case, a Unitarian minister. Charles enjoyed collecting natural objects like seashells and stones. At 9 years old, Charles started attending Dr. Butler's school in Shrewsbury, where he boarded. Even though he lived just a mile away, he often ran home to see his family, which he said was important for his mental health. Charles enjoyed reading, especially the poetry of Lord Byron and the plays of William Shakespeare, though he would later lose interest in them. At the age of 16, Charles Darwin entered the University of Edinburgh. His father hoped he would follow a medical career, as Edinburgh was known for its strong medical programs. However, Charles was not very interested in medicine. He was often bored in classes and felt that the teaching was poor. He did not enjoy the lectures and was frustrated by the lack of hands-on experience. Despite this, he did get involved in scientific activities. He presented his first academic paper to the Plinian Society, a group of students interested in natural history. There, he met Dr. Grant, a scientist who would later support his ideas on evolution. During his time at Edinburgh, Charles developed a deep interest in nature. He enjoyed collecting specimens like seashells, minerals, and insects. His brother, Erasmus, had a chemistry lab in their garden, which inspired Charles to learn more about science. Charles also learned about barometers from his uncle, which sparked his curiosity in scientific instruments. The family trips to the Welsh coast also played an important role in his education. He noticed that the insects and plants there were different from those at home, which piqued his interest in the natural world. After 2 years at Edinburgh, Charles realized he did not want to pursue medicine. His father, disappointed by this decision, suggested that Charles might become a clergyman instead. Charles followed this advice and moved to Christ's College at the University of Cambridge at the age of 19. There, he spent more time with students who enjoyed hunting and shooting rather than studying, but the university still had a major influence on his future. In 1831, at the age of 22, Charles Darwin embarked on a life-changing journey aboard the HMS Beagle, a British naval ship. The ship's captain, Robert Fitzroy, invited Darwin to join as the ship's naturalist, despite Darwin not having formal training in the field. Darwin's father was initially upset about this decision, as he had hoped Charles would become a doctor or clergyman. However, after discussions with his uncle, Charles was allowed to go. This voyage would last almost 5 years, and it significantly shaped Darwin's scientific career. The Beagle traveled to various places, including South America, the Galápagos Islands, Australia, and New Zealand. During these travels, Darwin made numerous important observations about animals, plants, and the environment. His studies in geology were also groundbreaking, as he examined how the Earth's layers formed over time. In the Galápagos Islands, Darwin was fascinated by the differences between species on each island. For example, he noted that finches on the islands had different types of beaks depending on the food available, which led him to think about how species adapt to their environment. Darwin's discoveries during the voyage helped him develop his ideas about evolution. He realized that animals and plants could change over time based on the environment they lived in. This insight became the foundation of his later work on natural selection. The Beagle voyage gave Darwin the evidence he needed to challenge existing scientific beliefs about how species were created and how they changed. After returning from his voyage on the HMS Beagle in 1836, Charles Darwin began to focus more on his growing ideas about evolution. He was convinced that species were not fixed, but could change over time through a process called natural selection. Darwin spent many years collecting evidence and writing down his thoughts, knowing that he had to present a strong case to challenge the traditional scientific view of creation. In 1837, Darwin began writing his first major work on evolution, called The Transformation of Species. During this time, he also started developing the idea of natural selection. He realized that individuals in a species often had small differences or variations, which helped them survive in their environment. For example, some animals were better at finding food or avoiding predators, giving them a better chance to reproduce and pass on their helpful traits to the next generation. While working on his theory, Darwin was influenced by the ideas of other scientists, such as Sir Charles Lyell, who proposed that the Earth's surface was constantly changing over time. Darwin applied this idea to living organisms, suggesting that life on Earth also changed gradually over millions of years. Darwin also read the work of Thomas Robert Malthus, an economist who wrote about population growth and competition for resources. This idea helped Darwin understand how natural selection worked. Those with beneficial traits would survive and reproduce, while those with less useful traits would struggle to survive. Throughout his life, Charles Darwin faced personal struggles alongside his scientific achievements. Despite his growing fame as a naturalist, he dealt with poor health for much of his life, starting around the time he returned from the HMS Beagle voyage. Darwin suffered from frequent illnesses, which left him fatigued and sometimes bedridden for weeks. The cause of his illness was never fully understood, but it affected his ability to work at times, leading to feelings of frustration. In addition to his health challenges, Darwin faced emotional struggles related to his work. He often questioned the validity of his theory of evolution and hesitated to publish his findings for fear of backlash from both the scientific community and the public. He knew that his ideas would challenge traditional beliefs, especially religious views on creation. Despite these doubts, he continued to gather evidence and refine his theory, determined to make an impact. Darwin's family life was a source of comfort and support. He married Emma Wedgwood in 1838, and they had 10 children together. Darwin was a loving and attentive father, and he found joy in spending time with his family, even as his scientific work consumed much of his time. Emma, despite her religious beliefs, supported Darwin's work and helped him through difficult moments. In 1859, Charles Darwin published his groundbreaking book on the origin of species. This book presented the theory of evolution through natural selection, and it forever changed the way people understood life on Earth. Darwin had spent years collecting evidence and refining his ideas, and finally, he was ready to share his work with the world. The book argued that species evolved over time through the process of natural selection, where organisms with traits that helped them survive in their environment were more likely to reproduce and pass those traits onto their offspring. Darwin's ideas challenged the widely accepted belief that species were created in their current forms by a divine being. On the Origin of Species was a major success, selling out its first edition on the very first day. It received both praise and criticism. Many scientists supported Darwin's theory, recognizing its potential to explain the diversity of life. However, religious leaders and some scientists strongly opposed it, as it contradicted their beliefs about creation. Despite the controversy, Darwin continued to work on his theory, writing additional books to support and expand on his ideas. His work influenced the fields of biology, geology, and even psychology, shaping the future of scientific thought. After the publication of On the Origin of Species, Charles Darwin continued to make significant contributions to science. In the years following, he focused on further developing his ideas about evolution and natural selection. He published several more books, including The Descent of Man in 1871, which explored the idea that humans evolved from earlier primates. This was a controversial topic, but Darwin's evidence and reasoning helped to shape modern ideas about human evolution. Darwin also conducted extensive research on topics like sexual selection and the role of emotions in animals and humans. In The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals, 1872, he explored how emotions are expressed physically, noting similarities in emotional expressions between humans and other animals. This work influenced the study of psychology and how we understand emotions today. Another key area of Darwin's later research was the study of plants. His work on plant evolution, including his studies on how plants are pollinated, further demonstrated the principles of natural selection. Darwin's research on orchids and the ways in which certain flowers attract pollinators like bees helped to deepen scientific understanding of plant reproduction. Throughout his later years, Darwin remained committed to scientific discovery, and his work continued to inspire generations of scientists. Charles Darwin's contributions to science have had a lasting impact that continues to influence biology, genetics, and many other fields today. His theory of evolution through natural selection revolutionized our understanding of life on Earth, showing that species change over time in response to their environment. Darwin's work challenged old beliefs and laid the foundation for modern evolutionary biology. He is often called the father of modern science for his role in shaping the study of life. In his later years, Darwin's health declined, and he struggled with various illnesses until his death in 1882. He passed away at the age of 73 and was buried in Westminster Abbey alongside other great figures of British history, such as Isaac Newton. Darwin's legacy lives on in his groundbreaking ideas, which changed how we view the world and our place in it. What do you think about Charles Darwin's impact on the world of science? Do you believe his theory of evolution fundamentally changed our understanding of life on Earth? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Thank you very much for watching.